I'm Larry Rolla, and I'm dealing with Staxx.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Larry Rolla. Because a lot of people don't know, but the VIG, it doesn't, once you're paying the VIG, it doesn't attach
The VIC
onto
is
the
just interest.
principal,
Yeah, the
right?
VIC is just interest on the money. That's all it is. If I owe you 300,000 and I have to pay 7,000 a week in VIC, has nothing to do with the 300,000. You still owe the 300. That's just interest. VIC.
Yeah, but you're paying this interest. Do you have to pay something towards the principal on top of
No,
the VIG?
it all depends on the deal you make. There's different kind of Shylock deals. I mean, you can make a VIG payment yeah. In other words, say you borrowed $10,000,
Hmm.
okay, and you borrow it for 2 points. So I borrow $10,000, and every week I got to give you $200, and we go for another week. Or there's a pay thing. If I borrow 10,000, I owe you 12, and I give you 1,000 a week for 12 weeks. So there's two kind of payments: a VIG payment or just that kind of payment. I had a VIG payment. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing. And then what happened? I think it was right around 1978. After going through this bullshit for like 4 or 5 years, uh, I get a call from Gina, and she says that Barney's really sick. He's really bad and everything. So naturally, I go up to see him. He was a really nice old guy. He was a good guy, and he was the kind of guy. And the reason I never wanted to go see him, and I sent Gina all the time, was because he'd always used to say, "Try to straighten me out. Stop this. Stop this. If you stop, you don't owe me nothing." This was early on, so I says I can't. I wanted to do what I was doing. I had to do what I was doing. I was addicted to doing what I was doing. I didn't want to hear somebody trying to straighten me out. Like
So you're like, yeah, let me have her deal with him, so I
yeah.
don't gotta hear it,
I,
right?
I sent Gina, and through the years they become very very close. And the last bunch of months he was really sick, and Gina was like his nurse, and they were very good friends. And one day, Gina called me up and she says, Bonnie won't go to the hospital. But he's really bad. He hasn't eaten in a couple of days. He's really bad. He's having trouble breathing. But he told me that he has some money that he put aside that he wants me to have. And he told me where it was. I didn't go there yet. I didn't do anything yet. I'm just sitting at his side. So I said, "All right, I'll come up there." And when I went up there, he was in bad shape, and I called for an ambulance, and the ambulance came, and they took him away, and he at the Monticello Hospital, I think, and he died very soon after that. And then we looked in the closet where he had a piece of board, and behind there he had a big box, and it was full of money, and and he left that to Gina. And we counted it all out. It was over $400,000. And Gina gave me the money to pay Cabert off. And I'll never forget it. It was on my birthday, October 8th, 1978. I went there and I paid off everything I had to pay off. We had a few thousand left. We had a bunch of money left, and I think we went to Florida or whatever, and it was good. And not only was it good, but when I told Charles Sutsky, who owned the racetrack, that I was even, it was all over. And I went to give him, I think, 10 or 20,000 that I owed him personal. Um, he wouldn't take it, and he said, "You sure you're all done?" I said, "Charles, I'm all done. It's all over." And he helped me resurrect myself. He helped me. He got me. He gave me some of his horses that he had. He had a bunch of race horses with Stanley Dancer, who was the like Frank Sinatra's the ultimate in that industry. He was Frank Sinatra of the harness racing. And once they got behind me, all my sins were forgiven, and it got me a new start, a new life. And within from 78 until 1981, just to give you an example, I won the Cane Pace, which was I think it was a $500,000 race or whatever it was. But I was doing well. I had 7 extremely wealthy owners. I won
And it
that.
wasn't fixed, right? That race
No,
wasn't
no, no,
fixed.
no. After 78, the fixed races stopped. Everything stopped. I became legit, which is what I wanted to do from the beginning. I didn't want to do all that bullshit. I did it because that fucking thing, the Tannenbaum, threw me out of Yonkers. And by the way, when he threw me out of Yonkers, the meet before Roosevelt Raceway, I had just gotten my license. I think I won 7 out of 8 my 8 first races. They gave me a full page write up, which all of this is in the book. I think I never even read my own book, but I think I told the guy to put it in the book. And I got a full page write up of, well, like I was the new superstar. And the phone started ringing. I was getting offers to buy horses, hundreds of thousands of dollars and everything else. And this happened right at that time. So when he accused me of stiffing a horse, which I really didn't do, I was on my way to superstardom. Everybody backed off. They don't want to deal with, a crook or the guy who was accused. Not only that, but I couldn't stay in New York. So I lost everything. That's what that creep did to me. And he put me on the road that I went on. So after 78, I wanted to go back to where I was, trying to resurrect myself from the 62, 63 time, 64, to now it's in the early 80s. And that's what I did. And by 81, I was doing so well. I bought a barn, I bought a training center, I had 7 homes, well, 3 trailer double wide trailers, and then homes in Jersey and New York, and 1 in California, and 1 in Florida, 2 in Florida, and I was doing well. And that's the year I had a party, and
With the 3,000 guests.
I told you about that. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm coming to the party. I'll go.
I just put a clip of that up. Yes, last night.
I'll go straight ahead. But the party, I rented the whole Concord Hotel. It was a 3-day party. It was an unbelievable party. And so, being I mentioned that, I won't get into that. So now 82, 83, 84. I'm right where I should have been in the 60s, 65. And a lot of money, a lot of horses, a lot of good owners, reputation back. Everything is back. And then one day, I take my mother every Sunday. If it was possible, I would go see my mother who lived in Monticello. When I was in Monticello, I made my mother sell a house, and I bought her a house up in Monticello. And I took her to the track every Sunday afternoon for lunch. And I took her there, tried to do it every Sunday since my father died. And one Sunday, I'm at the track with her having lunch, and this kid that used to work for me, really nice kid, who by that time he was his own trainer driver. He come to me and he says, "Larry, you going to be here for the last race?" And I said, "Yes, I'll be here for the last race." So he says, "Here, bet these numbers." What that means is he obviously fixed the last race up in Monticello, and he wanted me as a gesture because he used to work for me. He was a good kid, and so I said, "Okay, thanks," and he left. So now the last race comes, and I says, "Come on, Ma, let's go. We got to beat the traffic out of here because I park in valet." And my mother says to me innocently, "Aren't you going to bet what that boy told you to bet?" And I says, "Ma, well, he told you to bet." She's oblivious. She don't know anything. I says, "All right, Ma, you want me to bet it? I'll bet it for you." So I bet. She never bet a horse in her life. Don't even know. Has no idea about anything. So I bet, and it wins. The crowd starts booing. It was a fixed race. I cashed the money. I think it was 1,500, whatever it was. I give it to my mother. I said, "Let's get out of here." A month later, they're investigating that race. A month later, they start going through all through the printouts of all the computerized teller machines, and they find this printout of what I bet. And the teller, who knew me now for 10 years that I've been up there, she said, "Yeah, that Larry Rolla was here, and this is what he bet, and this and that." So they call me in, and make a long story short, I refused to cooperate. I wouldn't give these guys up, and I refused to cooperate during investigation, which is criminal, and I lost my license for life.
Isn't that ironic that you go through all these years fixing races, doing this and that, and then the race that you're not involved in, you're there with your mother, and bam, and they put this on you, like you're gonna cooperate or your whole career is over with.
Yeah. Well,
So
what happened was what they told me, and I told them, I says, "Listen, I says, I know I'm licensed, and I know I have to cooperate during an investigation. I know that. But you have to know that I have no horses here on the grounds. All my horses are in Florida and at the Meadowlands." I says, "I wasn't in the race, have no horses on the grounds. I haven't raced here for 2 years. I'm here as a spectator. I'm here as just a guest." I says, "And you're asking me if I bet on a race 3 weeks ago? I have no idea. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you if I did or if I didn't." So they said, "We're having an investigation. We don't want any smart answers. We want to know what you know. Tell us who gave you these numbers to bet, because I bet 4 numbers. I boxed 4 numbers, just to say, and them 4 numbers I boxed were with the favorites out of it. So obviously they knew." But I said, I just don't remember. And I said, "Listen," I says, "I know you have an investigation." I says, "If it'll help your investigation, tell me what to say, and I'll say it, because I could tell you that, yeah, it was me that bet them numbers. How did I bet them? My mother gave me them numbers. I could say that. It's not the truth, but I could say that, but you could help your investigation. Just shut it down." And they got very angry at that. They said, "We want the truth." And then when they start getting an attitude, I got an attitude. And I said, "You want the truth? I didn't bet. Now leave me the fuck alone." And I walked out, and my license was barred. And that was the beginning of the end again for me. And for the next 2 years, till 1986, I fought to get my license back in 3 states. And after 2 years and all the appeals, I lost everything. And my final appeal was in New York. And I finally get to them 3 judges that were up there. I don't know what court it was, but I know I had a powerful law firm, Paul Weiss, Rifkin, and Garrison. They took $30,000 just to review the case, non-refundable. And then they charged $500 an hour, whatever it was. And I get in front of the judges. There were 3 of them up there, and they says the Racing Commission Congress gave the Racing Commission the right to write their own rules and govern their own body, and we will not interfere with any decision that they make. And that was it. I was barred. And I go to the lawyer. I said, "How the fuck could you be the biggest law firm in Manhattan with the most connections and everything else? And then I got to hear that you didn't know the Racing Commission had the right to write their own rules and govern their own body, and that this court means absolutely nothing? That they could rule in my favor and the racetrack could still bar me because it's privately owned?"
They knew. They knew.
Probably
They
made
wanted
a
their
deal on
money.
the golf course or something. Anyway, so that started me. So by 86, I was, and I don't know if I said this or not. 86, I wind up on a park bench with a pillow that I robbed from the Woolworth store, and then starts another series of events in my life that is very, very interesting. Um, and But once I start down that road,
We'll get into the next chapter on the next one.
do it the next chapter. Because now I know I ended up this series in 1986 on a park bench. We'll start the next one off from there.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you taking the time, Larry. A lot of people are going to enjoy this interview. And make sure you go check out Larry's book. Your
No,
book.
I want what I want them to do. They could buy the book. I want them to go to YouTube and punch in Larry Rolla. Just YouTube at Larry Rolla. I have 14 or 15 podcasts up there explaining a little bit more in detail. Not that much because a lot of it is going to be in the TV series. But if they would go to YouTube and punch in Larry Rolla, you'll see my podcast. They're probably not as good as yours, but they're
Oh,
right
come
there.
on. You're on my podcast, so it's as good as yours.
Anyway, thanks for having me, Bill. And whenever you're ready again, just give me a call.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And if you guys like this type of content, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Until next time. Thanks, Larry.